topic for today's live stream is David-WYNN Miller dead? What do you think? If so, what's your evidence? You know, whichever way you think, whether you think he's alive or whether you think he's dead, what's your evidence thereof? Genuinely curious as to what you think. The reason for this live stream is because of an email that I received recently. And actually, every once in a while, I will get emails like that, where people will say that he's still alive. There's one fellow a couple years ago who told me a story that he called, like in 2019 or 2020, he called David-WYNN Miller's cell phone number. Or he didn't call it, sorry. He texted the phone number and apparently received a response that was similar to the way David-WYNN Miller used to correspond with him via text. So immediately, I texted that number using correct sentence structure and immediately got a response. They didn't understand what I was saying, and they forwarded the messages to someone else. And I've told that story several times. Long story short, it was not David-WYNN Miller at the other end of that phone number. And then interesting enough, that same individual came onto a live stream not too long ago, claiming the same thing again. Even after I told him what I did, he still thinks it was David-WYNN Miller at the other end of that phone number. So my, question is, well, if you're going to assume that, then why don't you just call the number and see who answers? If you're that curious. I'm not that curious about it. I know where I stand on the topic. But in any case, I got this email from someone who said that they think, not that they think, like they're pretty sure of it, that David-WYNN Miller is turned into somebody else. What does it say here? That David-WYNN Miller gained a lot of weight and created a new identity as someone named Juan O'Savin. Juan O'Savin, S-A-V-I-N. And so I looked up this individual. Very few pictures of Juan O'Savin. But I did catch an audio. And the guy that sent me the email, or the individual who sent me the email, said, listen to the way he talks. Sounds like, what's he say exactly? He says, compare voice and videos. Yeah, so I emailed the guy back and I was like, hey, did you know David personally? Because I was blessed to have been in contact with him the last year of his life through Skype, through, phone calls and stuff. And I know what the guy sounds like. I know the way he talks. I know the timbre of his voice, his inflections. Just like you would when you watch the videos. He sounds just like he sounds on the videos. Except in the, towards the end of his life there, his last year, his voice sounded weaker. Because he was very ill. his health was deteriorating. And then you listen to this Juan O'Savin guy. He sounds nothing like David-WYNN Miller at all. The inflections are different. Even almost sounds like he has like a slight bit of accent from someone who speaks Spanish. And I'm very familiar with that. And I don't think it looks anything like David-WYNN Miller, personally. But people are going to, think what they're going to think. I don't know why people feel the need to think that David's still alive. I guess probably for the same reason why people believe in a God or whatever. I mean, it's like, maybe it makes them feel good to know that to think that David's still out there doing something. But there's definitely more concrete evidence pointing to him not being here than him being here, I would say. So if you just look up Juan O'Savin, JUANSAVIN, and you'll get a couple hits on it. It's like people need to create these types of scenarios for whatever reason. Now, this individual that sent me this email, when I responded back to him and asked him, did you know David personally? Because I was blessed to have been able to speak with him personally. Have conversations on the phone and stuff like that, and on Skype. And Juan O'Savin is not David-WYNN Miller. And I don't know. Guy wrote me back. He seemed to be, I don't know, it's my impression of the way he responded. He seemed to be a little bit offended that I said that. He really probably wants to believe in this type of stuff. Kind of like the way people react when, okay, here's something for you. And I've said this before. Think about what a fact is for you. Make a list of things that would create a fact for you, that would credential a fact. Like, say, for example, you take a cup. You write down all the things that make it a fact for you. And then you have to apply that across the board to everything, every concept in your biosphere. And if you can't tick off all those boxes, then it's not a fact. So is David-WYNN Miller still alive? Is that a fact for you? Probably not. Not in the same way that a car is a fact. The wind is a fact. The moon is a fact. The sky is a fact. Your mother. So on and so forth. That's the easiest way to put these things to rest, basically. That's not to say that strange things don't happen, because the strangest thing happened and a few people experienced it immediately following the knowledge that David had passed away, was the fact that there was no mention of it on the internet. There was no obituary. There was absolutely no obituary a month after he died, 2 months after he died, 3 months, 4 months, 5 months, 6 months. Nothing. No mention of him dying in mainstream media anywhere. He had a Wikipedia page, nothing on there. It was the strangest thing. I couldn't even find a local obituary for the guy. And then Russell J. Gould comes out in the Reno seminars and offered a reason as to why that happened. And his reasoning was that David was a Mason with a certain knowledge level. And I don't know, something like that. That's the reason why they didn't announce it. And then, oddly enough, about a year after David passed, Then all of a sudden it was announced that he had passed away about a year and a day after his death. So if anybody knows anything about drogues and timelines, a year and a day is commonly the drogue timeline for a salvage claim. A year and a day. So all you people out there who think that he's still alive, he's still out there doing something somewhere. Maybe he is, maybe he isn't. But I definitely don't see any evidence of it, and I definitely can guarantee you it's not 107. David had a certain mannerism about him, a certain way of carrying himself. It's just not things that you can hide or modify to the point where someone can't recognize you. I don't think that can happen. I know people are going to get into all this stuff about cloning and things like that, revenuing, all the stories about, oh, well, JFK became Jimmy Carter. Joe Biden is not the same Joe Biden that was Joe Biden in the 70s. And you can provide photos and things like that. Paul McCartney, Paul McCartney died, or the original, actually, there's a video on YouTube of the original Paul McCartney, the bass player for the Beatles. Supposedly it's the original Paul McCartney, and he gives tours over in Great Britain somewhere. He claims to be the original Paul McCartney. Looks like him, talks like him. Is he the original? Who knows? I err towards the side of caution in these conspiracy theories. I'm not saying conspiracy theories don't exist. Of course they exist. Everyone listening to this probably participates with conspiracy theories. Conspiracy is just where a small group of people get together and plan something that only includes them and no one else. So, if you're planning a birthday party for someone, you're involved in a conspiracy. It's not necessarily a bad thing. Not saying these things aren't possible, just saying I err on the side of caution as far as these things go. Just don't go off believing whatever falls into my lap just because it's something that would be awesome if it were true. It's like I made the comment, the same type of people that need perhaps to believe in that David-WYNN Miller is still alive out there doing stuff. Probably the type of people that would participate in the belief of a God, in the religious sense. I feel like when people say that, when people say, it's God's plan, God meant it to be that way. If their answer is that, then that tells me that they've stopped thinking. They decided that they don't want to think anymore about it. They don't want to get to the bottom of something. So they just say, oh, it's God's plan. And that's just a convenient way to say, shut up, not thinking about it anymore. Let's move on to something else. Hey, whatever works. Witness Protection Program. All right. Ameli Apu. I'm sorry, I don't know how to pronounce your name. That's an interesting, some interesting comments you have there. What's your proof? And if Witness Protection Program, why? Why would he be in a Witness Protection Program? Do you know something the rest of us don't know? If so, feel free to share unless you think it would put someone in danger. Witness Protection Program. Why would the great David Wynn Miller need the protection of the fiction system? What's he a witness to? What did he witness? Jeez. What is he a witness of? I think if you're a Mason, took the oath of secrecy, that if you tell your tongue be cut out and buried up to your neck at the low water line. Jason XR4, are you a Mason? How do you know this? Because really, logically, the only way that someone would know what Masons do or don't do is if they are a Mason. Otherwise, it's just speculation. Because Masons are a private society, private club. I know a guy who sells a David Wynn Miller book. Yes, I know someone who also sells a David Wynn Miller book. There's a few people out there that do that. David was a 92nd degree Freemason, right? Well, that's what he claimed to be. I don't know if he was or he wasn't. I just know that he claimed to be that. I know that I've seen Freemasons say that it goes up to 33 degrees, and the 34th degree is when you pass away and move on to the next plane or whatever you want to call it. You're no longer here in the physical, you move on to something else. That's the 34th degree, so I don't know if he was actually a 92nd degree Mason. I know that he claimed to be that. First-hand knowledge, that's the first degree. So Jason, are you a Mason? Could you answer that question, please? Are you a Freemason? Are you a member of the craft, of the brotherhood? He told me Russell J. Gould is an actor. Well, I don't know if Russell J. Gould is an actor or not. In the sense that Mel Gibson is an actor, in the sense that Donald Trump is an actor, in the sense that Angelina Jolie, Robert De Niro is an actor, Al Pacino. I don't know if Russell J. Gould's an actor. Acting. I know that Russell J. Gould was David Wynn Miller's student, that he was David Wynn Miller's underling, his protege. I know that. But just because someone sells a book doesn't mean that they know anything about the personal lives of these men that we're talking about here. And I definitely don't take anyone's word for anything, especially where this stuff is concerned. Is Trump female to male? I have no idea. I mean, I don't go near any trans anything as far as that stuff goes. Transgender. I have no idea, and I don't really care. I'll leave that to the people that like to fill up their day arguing about politics. And, you know, I know there's a whole contingency of people out there who think that all the Hollywood actors and stuff were, you know, if they're a male, then they were once a female, and so on and so forth, all that goofiness. I'm not going to say that they're not strange. I'm just saying I don't care. Has nothing to do with my day-to-day. Has nothing to do with correct sentence structure, communication, parsing, syntax, grammar. The topic of this live stream is David Wynn Miller dead? And my answer is there's way more evidence to say that he's dead than to say that he's not. No, I only did the first degree and learned all I needed to know about my choice not to take it further. Well, Jason, thanks for sharing that. I appreciate that, man. I do know a little bit about that stuff. I have spoken with some Masons. I myself am not a Mason. I've been approached by Masons to join, but I have not. I have some special books that belong to lodges that weren't supposed to be put out in the public. I kind of happened on them by chance, I guess. So I do know some things about it that most people don't know about it. And I will say that whenever I have asked Masons about the 92nd degree, they would make a joke about it, but they wouldn't say it wasn't possible. That's the whole reason why I'm on TikTok. I want to get 1,000 followers on TikTok so that I can go live and speak with these Masons and put them on the spot for my own knowledge cultivation. Freemason, it doesn't necessarily mean someone's a bad person. There are Freemasons out there who just pay their dues and aren't interested in furthering their knowledge level. They just pay their dues and they like the benefits of whatever whatever benefits are offered by the lodge that they belong to. And then there are other Freemasons who do want to learn and take their tools and utilize their tools every day for the betterment of their lodge and the betterment of whatever program they're involved with. Literally stuck at low water line. It's not a good position to be in because I will be glad to help you achieve this. Thank you for that. I've literally been stuck in the mud at low water line. It's not a good position. I don't really know what you mean, Jason. If you could just speak plainly, that'd be great. Because I'm not sure what you mean by... I know what you mean by stuck in the mud at low water line, but then I don't know what you mean by they love each other right. I don't know if they love each other. I can't speak for them. I know that they definitely look out for each other, especially like in courtrooms, in foreign vessels and dry docks. I know that most of the clerks and judges and attorneys are Masons. Not all of them, but most of them are. I know that most of the trustees on township boards and local cities and stuff are Masons. It's not a secret. It's not a secret that the Masons are involved in every branch of government. Everything. At least half, if not more, of every board of directors are probably Masons. As far as localized governments and stuff like that. And again, that's not a good thing or a bad thing. I guess it depends upon where you're sitting. I wonder how many Freemasons actually know how to build something, like literally physically build something using, stone, like stonemasons and stuff like that. I bet none of them do. I bet like 0.001% of them actually know how to build something. I know that it's very compartmentalized based upon the literature that I have. Like, for example, Jason, you said you were first degree. If they were to have a meeting of second or third degree Masons, you would not be privy to that. They compartmentalize that stuff. It is a ritual based on fear, oath said to be symbolic only. Well, the value of something is what you put into it, what you ascribe to it. So if you think an oath is symbolic only, what does that mean? I'm not sure what that means. An oath is an oath. If you make a vow or an oath, I don't know what that means to say that it's only symbolic. Letters are symbolic. A document is full of symbols. Is a document only symbolic? You see what I'm saying? I don't know what you're saying there, Jason. Symbols have meanings. Symbols are a manner of communication. So if you and I can agree on what these symbols mean, then you and I can communicate. Letters are symbols, or hieroglyphs, or however you want to say it. So you and I can communicate via these letters, via these symbols, because you and I have a common understanding of what they mean. Masons, perhaps, because I'm not a Mason, I don't know if this is true or not, or for sure, I'm just guessing, I'm speculating, they have their own way of ascribing value to symbols that only they know about, that you and I don't know about it. So they can communicate using symbols and have an entire conversation, and we wouldn't know what they're talking about because we don't know the meaning that they ascribe to those symbols. It doesn't apply to us, so who cares, right? I don't care. If something's classified or secret, I don't care because it doesn't apply to me. It's not on the geometric level playing field of contract. It's not rule one, rule equals, so it doesn't apply to me. It doesn't bother me. The minute that it becomes a trespass to me, that it causes harm or damage, that's when I'll create a document, contract, postal vessel, court venue, and stop the trespass. It's that simple. At the beginning was telepathy. Amelie, were you there at the beginning? You have first-hand knowledge of this? Or are you guessing? Are you speculating like I'm speculating? Because if you weren't there and you don't have first-hand knowledge, then you're speculating. You must provide a continuance of the evidence. You must have proof of a claim that you make. And so if you're saying telepathy was at the beginning, I would ask that you prove that to me. Show me something concrete. Like I can show you what a cup is. I can hold a cup in my hand and hand it to you, and that's a cup. And you can agree it's a cup. It holds liquid. And you just said telepathy was there at the beginning. Show me how telepathy was there at the beginning. Like, prove it. Give me some evidence. Some concrete, first-hand evidence. I am a self-determinated by common law court. Well, common law court is fiction court. It's adverb, verb, adjective, pronoun court. So it's still part of the fiction. Now, I do know people who are successful in using common law. It's basically using fiction against fiction. Correct sentence structure, communication, parse, syntax, grammar is completely different. It's completely different than common law, common lore, because common law and common lore is still part of the fiction system. That's not saying that it's good or bad or anything. I'm just saying it's part of a fictitious conveyance of grammar, because it's full of modification. Like the words common law court. That's adjective, adjective, pronoun. Common law court. If you were to put that title, common law court, into correct sentence structure, you could say something like, for the court of the common hyphen law, period. Now it's position lodio fact. Just like a name, for the Jason hyphen Matthew colon space glass, for the Jason hyphen Matthew of the glass, period. For the court of the common law, period. For the court, colon space, common hyphen law, period. Now it's in correct sentence structure. Now we've positioned the facts. It's completely different. Well, that's wonderful. It's great to be open to learn. And if you are open to learn and you are truly serious about it, you can contact me at jasonmatthewg17@gmail.com. You can find that email address in most descriptions of my videos. You can find that email address in the videos. There are over 600 videos of correct sentence structure knowledge on this channel that I've created that you can study, or you can contact me at the said email address and apply for a workshop. The way that works is that if you contact me at the email address, I will set up a 10 to 15 minute video consultation. Please make sure your audio and video are working. I ask that you share your correct name in your email. You show your face so that we can both be on a geometric level playing field of communication. You know my correct name. I just ask the same consideration from you. Rule 1, rule equal. So if you're serious, if you're open to learn, if you're serious about learning, I've just given you 2 venues with which to do that. It's up to you to take it from there. I've had people that were doing common law for like 15, 20 years. And they were successful with it up to a point. And then they realized that they weren't having the success that they wanted. So they came to me to start taking classes to learn correct sentence structure. Because they realized that common law is part of the fiction system. It literally is. Are you familiar with Heather and No, I'm not familiar with them. The only first-hand knowledge I have of the man who called himself David Miller is meeting him at a seminar. Thank you, Dave Apex. I will say this. David Miller was one of the kindest individuals that I ever had the pleasure of communicating with on the phone. He always took time to answer my calls, answer my questions. Never sounded annoyed or anything. And the guy oozed charisma. I can say that. And Dave Apex, I like the way he answered the question. He only gave his firsthand knowledge of what he could prove. He didn't claim speculation as fact or belief or anything like that. He just shared his own personal experience, and that's what he can claim because that's his firsthand knowledge. He can provide a continuance of the evidence for that. He didn't go off into left field claiming all kinds of stuff. And that's a huge gap between people that can participate with facts as facts and people who participate with opinions and assumptions as facts. If you're claiming you know something, you better be able to prove it. Lots of people go around every day getting other people to believe in assumptions as facts. No one that I know of in my family participates with any of that transgender nonsense. And I stay as far away from that as I possibly can. I think it comes down to teaching children logic. I think those are my thoughts on it. But anyways, this stream is about whether David-WYNN Miller is dead or alive. And so far, the majority thinks he has passed, which he did do at the summer solstice of 2018. I wanted to go to his funeral, but at the time I was in communication with Mark lowercase k Kishon Christopher, and at the time, shortly before David's death, Mark had come to North America to visit David and shot some videos with David. And I actually was at a couple video seminars or online seminars where David was there and Mark was there and I was there, and also Raven was there. My tutor Raven was there. And Mark kind of, in hindsight, I would call it, Mark ingratiated himself into David's life, into David's family. And I was communicating with Mark, and I said to Mark, I'd like to come and pay my respects to the man. I'd like to attend his funeral. Can you help me facilitate that? Because I knew he was going to be there. I knew Mark was going to be at that funeral. And all of a sudden, after little over a year of being in contact with Mark Kishon Christopher, taking his courses, communicating with him via email, via Skype, communicating on a regular basis, weekly basis, maybe 3-4 times a week. All of a sudden, when I asked if I could attend David's funeral, Mark went silent. He stopped talking to me. He did not talk to me until after the funeral was over. And now I know why. Well, I don't know why. I can speculate as to why. Because he was taking over David's whole business thing there. Which, if you watch those videos of David and him, Mark says flat out, I don't know how to syntax. I don't understand it. Anyways, so there was a funeral held. And unfortunately, I didn't get to attend it, which always, kind of bummed me out. Can you speak more about clear title? If there is not a Lord all title or freehold title for land, can claim the land we stand on as trusted stewards. I don't know what you mean by Lord all title or freehold title, because you're speaking in fiction terms. Jason. You're speaking in terms of the fiction. To me, as far as real estate goes, it's just logic and common sense that if you're going to buy land, which I don't participate with the concept of owning anything. The concept of owning land didn't come to North America until the settlers came here. The First Nations, they didn't own anything. They didn't even think about owning land. Those concepts are forced on them. So to me, it's repugnant to think to own land. But anyways, all that aside, I would say in a fiction sense, if you're looking to buy a property, then you would have to make sure there is a clean chain of title. Or I would make sure there was a clean chain of title before I did that. Allodial title means no lodial title. Lodial title means location title. Whose title is it? Which title is it? Just like a lodial in, just like the lodial, the part of speech. 6, incorrect sentence structure tells you which fact it is. Lodial title would tell you whose title it is. Your title, my title, his title, her title, this title, that title, each title, so on and so forth. Again, Melly, what is the concept of soul? And how would you certify that to another living being in a contract? Like, what is soul? I can certify what a psyche is. I can certify what a formatory apparatus is, consciousness, thought, thinking, cogitation. Not so sure I can certify what a soul is. But then again, I don't know what you mean by that, so... It's like the continuum. I don't know if the continuum begins. I don't know if the continuum ends. I just know that it continues. And I can prove that. Declaration means no clear contract. No clarity contract. DE means no. As in defrost, no frost. De-escalate, not to escalate. Amelie, if you have any grammar questions, it can be answered on my YouTube channel, over 600 videos. Affidavit is also no contract. Any word that has a vowel in front of a consonant at the beginning is no contract. If you go to my YouTube channel and punch in affidavit, it should bring up a video that I did on it where I show, through a continuance of the evidence, how affidavit is no contract in the context of correct sentence structure. Now again, if you're in common law and things like that, of course it has a different meaning, because that's fiction against fiction using modification in your language. Different ballpark. Declaration of absolute truth. Declaration, no clear contract. Absolute, a vowel in front of a consonant is no contract. So absolute would be no solution. No solution truth. And I give a continuance of the evidence for everything I'm saying on my YouTube channel. It's all contained there. Over 5+ years, over 600 videos, thousands of hours I put into this. And of course, if it does not, if you are not congruent with the vibration of quantum grammar, then quantum grammar may not be for you. It's a very, there's nothing abstract about it. There's no guessing, no assumptions, no interpretation. It is what it is. It's very blunt. It's very straightforward. There's nothing mystical about it. Resonating. RE means no. ING is no contract. It's a modifier. It's a gerund modifier. Does anyone know why RE means no? I know some of my regular viewers will know why RE means no. Anyone who's done at least one workshop with me will know why RE means no. Questions are answered. I'm glad, and quantum grammar makes all the sense now. Well, that's awesome. I appreciate that. Because only the 1% of the 1% of the 1% will actually commit to learning this and follow through and get closure on it and then actually use it. A lot of people say they want to do it, but when it comes down to brass tacks, they shy away from it. So, I don't have time right now. I'm concentrating on other things right now. And then when something bad happens, then they contact me. Jason, can you take my case on? Jason, can you syntax this? Jason, blah, 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 blah. And, if you're contacting me in that condition of state, then it's probably too late. It's better to have it and not need it than need it and not have it. It's sort of like a martial art, If you train and develop reflexes, develop techniques, you might not ever use it, ever, because you've developed situational awareness and you would never let yourself be put in those situations where you would need to use martial arts. But the day might come when you take all the precautions in the world and something happens and you are in a fight for your life. Isn't it better to have that martial arts knowledge and to be able to reflexively protect yourself and your loved ones in that situation than not have it? The logos is king. Well, that may be so for you, Amelie, but I do not participate with any type of kings or queens or presidents or anything like that, because that's a violation of Rule 1, Rule Equal. No one is above me nor below me. You're welcome, Jason.